What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Legends of Tomorrow Season 1, Episode 5, Failsafe. This show is awesome. I mean, I, I know this is kind of weird just to start off saying that, but it really is good. For many reasons. One, the action's good. And, I mean, I've been binge watching Arrow on Netflix, and I'm through the first two seasons, about to start on the third season. So I knew the action was going to be good because it's, all one universe. You got Arrow, you've got the Flash, and now you've got Legends of Tomorrow. They're all connected. So I knew if the same people that have been doing those shows are doing this as well, I knew the action was going to be good. But one of the big differences here is that there's a lot more. Obviously, I haven't seen Flash yet, so I don't know about how the action is in that show, but from what I've seen in the previews, it looks pretty cool. But from what I've seen from Arrow, one of the things that kind of makes me enjoy it so much is because it feels a bit more realistic. Because it's not a guy with superpowers, fighting, shooting flames out of his hand. It's not any of that. It's a guy with a bow and arrow taking on, people, just normal people. A few of them are superhuman or something, but you don't see a lot of superhuman elements in Arrow. In this show, there are a lot. You've got a guy who shrinks down to the size of an atom. You've got two guys that are shooting. One has an ice gun, one has a flamethrower for a gun. You've got two guys that can combine and become this flame man. You have a woman who has wings growing out of her back. And so you would think that, well, the action wouldn't be as realistic because of all of that. They still managed to keep it pretty realistic. Some of it looks a bit cheesy at times, but for the most part, it looks good. And that's saying something. That is impressive to be able to keep it, on a realistic scale, which with such unrealistic things. I mean, loved Ant-Man extremely. It was a great movie, but to be able to fully experience Ant-Man, a lot of it took you out of the realism. Like watching him run across the gun, I'm like, this is obviously CGI. Like there was no question that there was a lot of CGI involved. And so it did kind of take away a bit of that realistic element, but they embraced that. They embraced the fact that it wasn't that realistic. This show, based on what I've seen from Arrow and the Flash, it wants to be realistic. It wants to seem serious. It doesn't want to, it doesn't want to be extremely like no humor at all, because they do have humor. But they don't want to be like, this is way, way out there. This is Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man crazy. No, they want to kind of keep it grounded in reality. They want to make you feel like if superpowers did exist, your superpowers do exist. You're seeing it right here. And they do a pretty good job of that, and that's impressive. So that's my first thing. Second thing, the story is getting really good, and we're only 5 episodes in. I mean, first, to start off with the entire plot hinging on, you've got one guy who's immortal who can die in one time and then come back in another because he's immortal. It doesn't matter how many times you kill him, he's always going to come back, unless this certain person kills him with this certain knife. So the plot itself is fairly interesting, but what they're doing with it is so clever, because they started off in 1970 something, I think it was 75, stopping Vandal Savage there. Then they went to 1985, and now they're trying to stop him there in Russia. And then the way it ends, for them to get knocked off course and land in 2047, that is a good turn to take. That is a good twist to take, because I'm thinking, okay, so what is this going to be? Is this going to be stop Vandal Savage here, stop Vandal Savage here, stop Vandal Savage here? What are they going to do with it? There are only so many times you can do that before it gets boring. To have them get knocked off of the time stream and end up in what looks like a ruined Starling City, that's very clever. That is a very clever turn to take, and I'm so happy they took that turn. But I'm going to talk about more about that in a little bit because I do want to talk about what this episode was mainly about, and that is rescuing Stein, Raymond, and Mick from the impenetrable prison. Which, of course, I'm going to talk about the bad stuff for a second because starting off, there were a few cliches in here. One, the impenetrable prison, which obviously our heroes are now going to find a way to penetrate it and escape. Um, I've seen it's been done several times. Oh, this is impossible. What? Impossible? They did it. They just go and do it. No problem. Um, there was what cliche? There was another one that I wish they'd handled it a little bit better. It's when Hunter tells Sarah, you have to kill Stein if you can't rescue him. I wish they had kept it a little bit more like you didn't know what she was gonna do. Like, because she's been struggling with her humanity and how much of that humanity is left for the past couple episodes. So it would have been so much more intriguing to see what exactly is going to happen if they didn't make it so sure that she was going to do it. Because I've seen, once she is dead set, she's like, okay, I'll do it. I'm just like, no, she's not going to do it. If you had made it like where she was like, but, I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can just kill him. He's a member of the team. Then I've been like, oh, she might actually have to decide whether to do it. But as soon as she just says she's going to do it, it's kind of one of those TV tropes that they're going to do it. They are definitely going to do it. We're trying to trick you into thinking they're going to do it. They are going to do it. They are definitely. Just kidding. They're not going to do it. Tricked you. No. No, you didn't. So that was a little disappointing that they. I don't know. It's TV shows have done it for a while, so it's not necessarily not combined, contained to this one show. This is the only show that ever makes this mistake. Every show does it at some point where they're like pushing so hard this one way that it's hardly a surprise whenever it goes the exact opposite. But the way it happened was a bit more interesting than I thought it was going to be because it actually turns out to be Snart that talks her down. He talks about, first of all, he's the one telling her don't kill him. And then in the end, she even says, it wasn't me that that kept me from shooting. And then she looks over at him because he really did talk her out of it. And I find that kind of interesting because, for one, this is the same guy who was about to leave Raymond in the prison, if not for Mick Rory saying, no, he helped me, I gotta help him. So it's kind of interesting to see both sides of him, to see the one side that didn't want to help Raymond, but then again, he doesn't want her to embrace the killer side of her and kill Stein. Like, he's hard to figure out, and I like that about it. I like that he's not exactly one side or the other. He's very clearly a criminal because he wants to, first of all, he's got the criminal's code, he wants to steal stuff, all of that. He's clearly a criminal, but you can tell that he's not evil. He's not a terrible person. He's still got a moral sense to him. And that's what I really like about his character, is that you can still sense that there's this side of him that wants to be better than the average criminal. He still has that desire to go steal stuff, desire to go break into places. But he's not a killer. He doesn't want Sarah to just completely kill Stein, murder him. I like the fact that he's got that duality to him. Duality. I think that's how you say it. Anyway, a couple of the other things that bugged me a little bit. The woman scientist that's trying to convince Stein this whole time, give them the formula, can't do it, uses all these different tricks and tactics. She was a little bit. I'm trying to think of the right word. Like, it wasn't that she was bad or that she was not a good villain to have. But at times she just seemed like a little bit too, I don't know, too out there. Um, like you just, I guess because she didn't have a lot of time to develop. We got introduced to her last episode, and she was not, we didn't find out until the very end that she was working for Vandal Savage and knows all about him, is actually trying to figure all this stuff out for him. Um, and so I guess we didn't get enough of a character development for me to really get into her character. And when she becomes Firestorm, like all that stuff just seemed a little bit confusing. Like, wait a minute, she's able to touch the reactor core, and what's going on? I'm so confused. So I don't know. She was pretty weak as a character. The guy that broke Mick Rory's nose in the last episode is like, oh, remember that, comrade. One, his death was unfulfilling. Two, it was very cheesy. Like, that was the one reason I felt they had brought him in, was to give somebody for them to take out their aggression on, because you kill Vandal Savage, she's just going to come back. So it's like, there's no sense of fulfillment whenever, Rip Hunter blows him up, and it's just like, okay, he'll just come back later. So this guy, I was thinking, okay, they bring him in, he's roughing them up, he's torturing them now in this episode. They're going to kill him in a good way. It's going to feel like revenge. It's going to feel like vengeance for our heroes. And then they just kind of throw him into a cell. It's like, enjoy your new comrade. And he just goes, no! And then gets grabbed and pulled back. I'm just like, really? What? Like, you could have done so much more with that. Like, I would have preferred a more cliched ending. Like, I would have preferred that it just be Mick Rory versus that guy in the field, in the little place where all the criminals are escaping, and they just happen to see each other and square off and go to fight. It would have been cliche, but I still would have liked it because of what this guy's done. Like, I would have loved for Mick Rory to go one-on-one with him and take him down. But no, he just gets thrown into a cell, screams no very cheesily, and then that's it. We don't even get to see him die. I know that sounds very morbid, but there's some characters that are introduced to just be like, I hate that character, and he's going to get it. He's going to get what's coming to him. That's why he's introduced. I want to see him get what's coming to him, and we don't even get to see it. It's just, it felt like such a toss away. But those are just a few things that just bugged me in this episode. Moving on to what's good. The rest of it. All of it. Just I could go very detailed on every single one, but the two main things that just stood out, one was the torture scene. They have a torture scene in episode 5 for our main characters. That's really bold. I know that sounds weird, and people are just like, so what? I've seen main characters get tortured, but this is the 5th episode, and they are already in a very real state of peril. You've got one character who, if he doesn't get saved, has been, one of the other team members has been told to take him out if they can't save him, so he could die. You've got Starling City, like the projection of if they fail, which I thought it was only supposed to project what the current timeline is, but apparently I don't know. Like, I don't know how they do all the projections and all that stuff. Like, I love the way they handle time, like the time travel stuff and shaping the past, all of that. I love how they handle it because it's like, okay, the timeline is set right now, but if you go back and change something, it's going to do everything it can to try to go back to the original timeline. Like, one guy, Snart tries to get his dad out of jail. Well, now his dad finds another reason to get in jail. Nothing changed. Just the reason he got put in jail changed. And so, I love that they're doing that, but then this one is just like, well, this is the possible timeline if we fail. And it's just like, you need to hurry or else the timeline's going to cement itself. I'm like, wait, so they have to do it quickly or else this timeline will come true? Like, now it's getting a little bit confusing. still handled very well. I can understand it for the most part, but it is getting a bit confusing. Um, but I mean, all of this plot, all the stuff that they have to work through in this episode, it's very well done, and it's very risky to do so early on when we're still kind of, some of these characters obviously are from other TV shows, so you know them from other TV shows. I don't, because I'm still catching up. So it's not like, you don't know who they are and you're just now getting introduced to these characters. But it's still very risky to go, all right, let's have our 3 of our main characters get captured, and now 2 of them are getting tortured in this episode. It's like, that's a very risky move to go that direction so quickly. That feels like something that should be saved later in the season. Mid-season finale. Let's throw that in where they get captured and now you have to go. No, this is just the 5th episode. They got captured in the last episode. 5th episode. Now we're having to save them, and 2 of them are getting tortured. And if one of them doesn't succeed, then the whole timeline falls apart, and then Starling City gets attacked by Soviet firestorms. I mean, it could all fall apart in this episode. And they somehow capture it. They somehow capture the thought of, if they fail right now, world's over. Like characters, it feels like these characters might bite it. I get the sense that Carter was the one to die because he can be reincarnated. So I get the feeling that none of these other characters are going to die. But at the same time, it just feels like they might. They might kill off some of these characters. You've got a big cast, you've got a big team to work with. You could kill off 1 or 2 and get away with it. So because it's so early on, I guess, it's really grasping my attention how quickly they're going with this intensity and without much build-up, just going right into it. Going right into the story, going right into everything that's going on. And now I need to talk about the ending. Because, like I said, very good move to not just go, okay, so here we were in this time and then we stopped Vandal Savage here, now we're in this time, we stopped Vandal Savage. They took it and they went with it. Now they're jumped ahead of our time into Starling City, and Starling City looks like it's a wreck. I don't know if this is about the time that Vandal Savage is taking over, I don't know. But all of a sudden, like, this guy in a hood and a bow and arrow jumps down your car. It's like, Oliver, is he? Nope. Some random black guy. He's just like, I don't know Oliver Queen or something like that, and then pulls the bow and arrow and shoots an arrow at him. So I don't know where this is going. I feel like I need to get through season 3 of Arrow and possibly try to finish the first season of Flash. I know obviously they've got their own stories going on right now, but there are certain things that I'm just like, I feel like if I've been watching the show, I might know some of this stuff. Like, I don't know. But I like the fact that they're taking it this direction. I like the fact that they're taking it in this way and really playing with this idea of we can travel anywhere we want in time, and we can travel in the future, we can travel in the past. Who knows what they're going to do next? How long are they going to be in this future time? What are they going to find out here? What are they going to find out about? Obviously they left, so it's like, do they come back at the same time? Like, that's another fun thing with this time travel. If you jump forward in the future, how will you know? Like, this future is going to be set, but couldn't you have come back to 2016 and lived all the way into 2047 to where now your 2047 self is sitting there? Like, the things they could do, it's so much that they could do with it. I hope they really take advantage of it, and so far they have. So I'm excited to see where this is going. Really excited to see what next episode holds, and how long we're going to be stuck in this future. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I don't know where this is going, and I love it for it. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. What do you want to happen next? What do you think is going to happen next? And what do you really hope they do? Leave a like and subscribe for more Legends tomorrow, and I will see you at the next review. Peace out.